the greatest of all time, the GOAT. When someone's referred to as the GOAT, they must have done something special in their retrospective of what they are called in. Taro Sakamoto is the greatest assassin of all time, having higher numbers than Takamura, and in his prime being the deadliest threat ever. But what made Sakamoto the greatest of all time? Before I begin, I would appreciate if you guys like and subscribe for more anime, manga, and general fictional content. And with that, I hope y'all enjoy. In his prime, Sakamoto was named as the greatest assassin of all time, even higher than guys like Takamura, who is stated to be one of the strongest assassins of all time, if not the strongest after Sakamoto lost his prime. But what can be defined as the greatest? Is it his stats? Is it his strength? Is it who he is? I think it's a mixture of all of them. Sakamoto in his prime was the strongest thing the assassin world has ever seen. The reason for this is because unlike everyone else, Sakamoto has the highest technique in the entire world. You see, he can use anything and make it a weapon. We see this in episode 1 of Sakamoto as he was throwing all these attacks at Shin that would normally not make any sense. And this was when he lost his prime, so keep in mind how much better at it he would have been if he continued training the way he was when he was an assassin. But unlike Nagumo, unlike Rion, unlike Kei Uzuki, unlike any other character in this series, he has the most technique between them all. He has not only beaten Uzuki, he has also beaten Nagumo and Rion at the same time whenever they were training as young students. This is also a benefit of what makes Sakamoto the greatest of all time. The Order didn't want to mess with him because he was better than everyone else. That is why when he retired, there was no one that ever stepped up to him until years later, until he had a daughter, until he was fat, and until he let go of all his training. But for his abilities, what makes him really special? He's not limited to anything around him. As, let's say for example, we look at Hyo. The reason Hyo lost his matchup is because of the magnetic field that the opponent had against him. The magnetic field was the reason he died, as he was taking stab wounds and cut wounds that shouldn't have been there because of the environment around him. If this was Prime Sakamoto, it wouldn't have happened this way because he would use those same things that beat Hyo to beat his opponent. And so, with every matchup we look at for Sakamoto, he's always going to be the victor. Even if he's not faster, even if he's not stronger, which, by the way, he is insanely strong with what he's able to do, he definitely has the techniques, abilities to defeat his opponents. After all, in a moment where Nagumo, Sakamoto, and Rion had to fight against Kendaka, Sakamoto was, in the end, able to defeat Kendaka because of his technique, even though Kendaka had greater speeds. That's why later on when they fought Takamura, Sakamoto believed that if he used his technique, he'd have an ability to be able to fight against them, even though he probably wasn't able to at this time. But the technique of what he can do is his main ability. That is the strongest ability he has. Now, there is another ability he has, and that is his insane level of strength. Sakamoto is able to throw helicopters, is able to smash through buildings, is able to destroy city blocks, and is just a dangerous monster overall, as his strength even rivals Takamura. Another one of Sakamoto's abilities is his speed, as Sakamoto has FTO levels of speeds and can blitz any low level assassin. Not only blitz, but when he fights against top tier assassins, he's able to keep up and maybe even outspeed them. The only person who's able to blitz him completely was Kendaka. These three together led to the belief that he was the greatest of all time, as it does make sense here since he had all three together. You see, when Sakamoto turns fat, he loses about 70% of his strength. Not only does he lose 70% of his strength, but he also is not going all out because he doesn't want to kill people, as it's a limiter. And so that's why he became fat. You see, the fat form is a form of Sakamoto when there's not real danger, when things are pretty much safe, and he doesn't have to go all out. This has pretty much been the case for most of the series until fairly recently, because we're getting to some pretty hefty situations where Sakamoto has to maybe let go of some limiters and even fight even harder than he did before. Keep in mind, the only person who can really beat Sakamoto at this point is Kei Uzuki. But this fat form is a more restricted form, and while it's still powerful, can defeat multiple opponents, it is still weaker than the Prime Sakamoto or Skinny Sakamoto, as Skinny Sakamoto is a power for Sakamoto. Since he's able to go all out, it's almost as if he unlocks it via a bloodlusted amp or when he loses enough fat. So the storytelling with his abilities shows us that when he's fat, he's not going all out, and even if he struggles, this is not really somebody that's struggling really, because he's at a limiter on his head that his wife set to him so that he doesn't kill people. So he's already nerfed to begin with. But unlike all these other monsters in the series, his main technique are his insane levels of strength, his insane levels of speed, his insane levels of technique, and his insane level of intelligence. Not only that, but if he turns skinny, he gets even stronger, faster, smarter, and have more technique as well, as throughout the series he's losing all that rust off that he had since the beginning of the show. Another one of his abilities is his insane durability, as he's able to take a hefty amount of damage, some of which would have killed any normal assassin or even some of the Order members in this series without much difficulty. As for example, one of the earliest moments of the series where he takes a lot of damage is the boiled fight, as he takes a lot of dynamic punches, which would have made anybody unconscious. Another one of very incredible feats is when Kei Uzuki stabbed him in the chest. This stab didn't really kill Sakamoto, but just made him activate his killing intent. As when he turns into a killing intent, he gains another power-up, which makes him stronger than what he was originally. You see, early on when Kei Uzuki and Sakamoto met up face to face, Kei Uzuki almost lost his life in this very situation because Sakamoto had his bloodlusted form out, and by the nick of it, Kei Uzuki survived. So the fact that Sakamoto took no damage from the stab and just got even stronger from it because he got mad at what Kei Uzuki said shows us the insane level of durability this guy has. Not only that, but Sakamoto also has regenerative abilities just like Kei Uzuki, as his body can recover from any real significant damage in just a couple of days. There was a moment where he fought against a significant opponent and went to Granny Mia, and Granny Mia was able to heal him fairly quickly and even unlock a significant power boost throughout the rest of the series. This power boost made his fat form be able to keep up with the Order members. But of course, he wasn't strong enough because the fat form is like a restriction for him, one that he can't kill. And keep in mind, throughout all of these feats, all of these abilities that he has, he limits himself anyways because he can't kill. His wife would divorce him if he does so. So unlike Kei Uzuki, his abilities are fairly simple. He has insane levels of speeds, which are FTL levels of speeds, because he was able to fight against Kanaguri's reflections. These reflections are light beams that bounce from each reflection to another, and the fact that he was able to fight against Kanaguri but also dodge against these attacks makes his speeds FTO at very minimum. Sakamoto also has insane adaptation feats, as he's able to compete with top tiers even though he's very weak, and he requires training by evolving himself by fighting these super strong assassins and making his level even higher than it was before. Sakamoto also has insane levels of strength, as his strength is able to destroy a city block if he needs to. He doesn't do it all the time, but because of all the feats that he's able to do, it shows us that he's able to do this feat. For his intelligence, he has higher than intelligence of most because he can even break down the weapons that people use against him and use it against his opponent. His technique is far more than anybody else in the series as well, which is what makes him a complete monster. With all of this together, these are Taro Sakamoto's abilities, and this is a reason that makes him the GOAT. From his insane speeds to his insane intelligence. That's why Taro Sakamoto is the GOAT, and these are all his abilities for right now.